what in the world is in the water in Canada? You got Jordan Peterson, you got Jonathan Pageau. You guys got some heavy hitters coming out of Canada. What is happening up there?
I don't know. I think that's like a 5 of the 100 people we have up north. So it's a high percentage of our population, right? No, I was joking with my kids when we came over here. I was saying, like, we're in California. There are more people in California than there are in the entire country of Canada.
That's accurate.
Yeah,
though,
yeah,
right?
that's accurate.
Your guys' population is 10 million or something.
Oh, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head.
Yeah.
I just know that's a statistic that gets thrown around a lot because we don't actually have that many people in Canada. I mean, everybody lives pretty much along the border. And then the rest is just permafrost.
Yeah.
So, not really, but
there does seem to be like people who have a pulse on stuff in Western culture.
Sure.
But you guys are coming from Canada. Like, what? I'm just trying to sociologically understand what is that, and the degree to speak so accurately, but not be American, but speak to the felt needs of Americans.
Yeah, I think we're in an unusual situation in that we are very American due to our proximity to you guys, but we also have our colonial heritage. Like, the monarchy is still on our money, right? We had the queen, we now have the king. And so there's this like British sensibility, which sometimes comes across. Canadians are known as being polite. I don't know if that's true. I think we're more passive than we actually are polite. You go down south in the States, that's polite people, right?
Yeah.
Canadians, I think, are just kind of like, we want to be left alone. So we're largely just going to, I mean, maybe Canadians are going to get mad at me for saying that. But all the same, I think there's an interesting dynamic because Canada is about 5 to 10 years down the road in terms of the like progressive left than you guys are.
Oh, okay.
So even something like the legalization of same-sex marriage, we did that, I think, over a decade before, it happened here with the SCOTUS. And just things like that, we're a lot more, you can look up north and see potentially where the states might be heading if you go in a direction that you may not want to go.
Yeah, with the assisted self-deletion thing too.
Yeah,
right?
MAID, medical assistance in dying.
Yeah.
So that's a big thing right now in Canada, which I think that's the only issue that I've seen actually the right and the left get together on because our government, which actually may not be our government for too much longer because Justin Trudeau just stepped down. They passed that medical assistance in dying, which is, medical assisted suicide, was open to people with mental health issues.
That's craziness.
And it's the first time that I've seen people on the left, like far left, like friends, family members who I wouldn't agree on pretty much anything, all of a sudden go, wait a minute. Like, we are for mental health advocacy. We shouldn't be offering suicide as an option for people who are struggling. And so I think there's a level of like our government is out of touch with that kind of thing. And our government likes to be seen as the most progressive they possibly can be. So one of the things, like when I was on the university campus and I was doing work with university campuses, one of the things that I was really worried about was that they passed a bill, I think it was M109 or M103, which was an Islamophobia bill. And I was doing a lot of apologetic and evangelistic outreach to Muslims because my background, living in the Middle East, growing up in majority Muslim countries, having done a lot of work with Muslims, and a lot of stuff that I was doing when I was looking at the wording of this bill would fall under, criminal behavior for simply critiquing Islam. And a lot of what I found out in basically trying to explore, am I going to be able to continue to do this, was more or less that our government is kind of like a wolf that's been defanged and declawed, in that it looks imposing and menacing, but in the actual practicality of it, they may make an example of 1 or 2 people in order to, they may come after the Jordan Peterson for being a little bit too loud, but on the whole, it's a lot of just posturing. So it's a bit of a catch-22 with what's going on up north.
Do you think with Justin stepping down, that we're going to see this like populist movement that we're seeing in America happen up in Canada, in terms of there's definitely seems to be a shift right in America, right or wrong.
Yeah.
It seems to be moving that direction, which I think I'm for it. I like it, but there's also some parts that people are uncomfortable about. You know, they're rounding up people who are criminals,
Right,
and undocumented, and then they might be rounding up people who are just undocumented who have been here for decades, right? So that's kind of like people are really wrestling with that here now.
Yeah.
Do you see a similar on the ground, a similar shift to the right in Canada?
I think definitely what's going on here impacts what's going on up where I am.
Okay.
In that I think it emboldens people who maybe privately have more conservative, especially like socially conservative leanings to speak out a little bit more publicly. There's this idea, I can't remember what it's called. There were these interesting sociological and psychological studies where they polled university students about the university party culture. And when they polled them in groups, they were like, do you love the party lifestyle on the university campus? And everybody unanimously was like, we love it. We love getting smashed. We love, sleeping around the hookup culture. And then when they polled them individually, almost nobody said they liked it. And it was this idea that if you think you're the minority, you're going to side with what you think the majority is, when in reality, that might not be the case.
Whoa.
And so...
that's groupthink.
Yeah, totally. Yeah. And so I wonder if, even though you see very outwardly a lot of this kind of like woke-ish leaning in Canadian society, how many people are really like, I don't know how I feel about that. With some of the stuff with the LGBTQ stuff in schools. And I think a lot more people are concerned about it than maybe they're verbalizing publicly. But when things happen down here that move in the direction of that being more socially acceptable, we do see an impact up in Canada. And certainly with Trudeau stepping down and the Conservative Party in Canada. So we have three major parties. The NDP, which is the New Democratic Party, which is very socialist, left-leaning. And then the Liberals and the Conservatives. That's literally what the party is called. The Conservatives, I think, in like the last 5-10 years, it could be argued that maybe they weren't that conservative, that they were conservative in name only. But with this guy, Pierre Poilievre, who's been like in the media more and more, he is very conservative. And so I think it's a move in the right direction in terms of at least aligning with what your party is called.
Sure.
And I think the movement in regards to that is dictated quite a bit by what's going on in the States.
Yeah. Well, I think it seems to be happening globally as well. And you make the point about the college students who like to say they like the party and hookup culture within a group, but then privately they don't. I mean, I think about it just in general, how many folks who, on paper are progressive liberals, but in their home live conservative lives.
Yeah.
Super
that kind of
interesting.
thing happens.